For generations, the narrative around how the female body actually functions has been, frankly, heavily filtered. We're talking cultural lenses, outdated assumptions, and just a massive lack of open conversation. Well, today, we are stripping all of that away. We're jumping right into this explainer, focusing strictly on reshaping how women understand their bodies by prioritizing clinical, empowering facts over all that cultural noise.
So think about this for a second. We live in an era where we carry literally the entirety of human knowledge right in our pockets, right? Why on earth does this specific topic remain so stubbornly wrapped in guesswork? Historically, medical science often treated the female body as a complete afterthought. I mean, consider this wild fact. It wasn't until 1998 that the full internal anatomy of the clitoris was even formally mapped in medical textbooks. 1998. Because of this massive historical blind spot, so many people have just been left to piece together their understanding from incomplete or totally inaccurate sources. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The fog of misinformation.
When the absolute baseline of what you know about your own physical self is built on, whispers and unverified cultural tropes, advocating for your own health becomes incredibly difficult. And this misinformation, it's not just some harmless annoyance. It actively disconnects women from their own physical signals. It normalizes pain that shouldn't be normal, like dismissing extreme cramping as quote-unquote just part of the process. And it causes widespread confusion about baseline biological responses.
Moving right along to Section 2, deconstructing the biggest myths. On one hand, we've got these intense societal expectations demanding that the female body behave in very specific, often completely contradictory ways. Take the pervasive myth that a lack of immediate physical arousal means a lack of desire. No way. On the other hand, we have the actual biological reality, the concept of responsive desire, where physical arousal often follows rather than precedes an emotional or situational context. Seeing these concepts head-to-head really highlights just how hollow these unfounded myths are when they're forced to stand up next to clinical truth.
I really want you to think about this next question. Where did you first learn about how your body works? Was it a super awkward, sterile 5-minute chat in a middle school health class? Or maybe a movie that prioritized drama way over accuracy? We've accepted these narratives not because they're actually true, but because they have been the loudest, most consistent voices in the room. Realizing that our baseline knowledge might actually be totally flawed is absolutely the necessary first step in replacing it with the truth.
So let's transition to Section 3, reclaiming body knowledge. Defining our terms clinically is really the key to true understanding here. Enter body literacy. This is such a powerful framework for reshaping how women understand their bodies. It essentially frames understanding your own biology not as some weird mystery to be solved, but as a language to be learned. When you become truly literate in your own physical signals, knowing the correct anatomical terms, understanding the cyclical nature of your biology, you transition from being a passive passenger in your body to an active, informed operator. Which brings us to Section 4, the reality of sexuality. Just acknowledging these myths is the absolute first step to defeating them. You cannot fight a shadow. You have to shine a light right on it. Take the completely outdated fiction that female pleasure is secondary or that it's purely linked to reproduction. By simply calling it what it is, a total myth, we strip away its authority and we stop treating it as some inevitable truth of nature. Let's take another incredibly pervasive myth. The idea that menopause immediately and permanently ends a woman's sex life. The reality that debunks it? Well, while hormonal shifts absolutely do cause physiological changes, like decreased natural lubrication, the libido itself isn't inherently just erased by menopause. In fact, many women report increased sexual satisfaction post-menopause. Why? Usually because there's a lack of pregnancy concerns, and they have a much deeper understanding of their own desires. Addressing the biological facts neutralizes the heavy emotional baggage attached to aging. It takes a really loaded cultural conversation and turns it into a calm, objective, and honestly deeply fascinating biological reality check. All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, Why This Matters Now. Replacing pervasive mysteries with hard clinical facts creates a massive ripple effect. And this isn't just about winning biology trivia night. It is about fundamentally shifting how a woman understands her body on a day-to-day basis. When a woman replaces a myth with a factual insight, it empowers her to communicate effectively. It allows partners to unlearn their own deeply ingrained misconceptions. Ultimately, this whole process leads directly to our final point, reclaiming total bodily autonomy. Because, at the end of the day, you can only truly govern what you actually understand.
The journey to body literacy isn't just about acquiring new facts. It's equally about shedding the false narratives that we've carried for way too long. So if true bodily autonomy begins the exact moment the myths end, what are you ready to unlearn today? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I highly encourage you to keep questioning, keep seeking the facts, and absolutely never stop learning about the incredible reality of human biology.